has joined squad.
One day, I woke up from my deep frozen sleep and realized something had to change. All this mindless killing, it had to end. I couldn't be a part of this anymore. As a father, I had to be better than this. It was time to take an alternative approach. So, I went to the armory and changed my gear.
What about here?
What about here?
I put on the trusted CM09 Bone Snapper armor with some extra stims. Equipped stun grenades as harmless intervention, and the P11 stim pistol, which might sting, but won't kill. The SG-20 Halt was the only primary option with stun ammunition. It still does damage, but not enough to kill anyone. I call this the Pacifist Loadout. A complementary orbital smoke strike, a shield generator relay, the EMS mortar sentry, and finally, the ballistic shield backpack. I was ready to dive without doing harm. Will I survive? Will I be able to still help my team? And, most importantly, will we still be able to achieve our mission goals? There was only one way to find out. The first bot drop taught me to stick with the team. Accidentally, I protected them with the shield bubble, and my EMS mortar was immediately destroyed. It became clear I must put my mind to it, otherwise we will fail. The first attempts at stimming my squad with the stim pistol turned out to be less helpful, but we were just starting. The first real challenge was a gunship fabricator. 2 of the gunships were quickly taken out by my squad.
Southeast, 100 meters.
I focused on pointing out enemies and raised my shield, hoping the bots would focus their fire on me. While attempting to plant the hell bomb, a turret in the distance started sniping us. While distracted with spotting turrets, the bots moved in. Patrols and drops on our position made it even harder to take out this gunship fabricator. We succeeded, but the jet brigade kept closing in. There was not much I could do to help my squad mate. Most of the bots simply ignored me. Did they know I wasn't a threat? As the pacifist, I considered myself as bait, so I distracted a tank. The spikes on the front of it punctured my shield and broke my leg.
Heavy, on my position.
What an unpleasant way to die.
Sweet liberty, my
Somehow my consciousness prevailed, and I continued living on in another body.
Reinforcing.
I can't remember how many times this happened, but I shouldn't ask those questions.
Marking location.
My role became clearer over time. I reinforced squad mates, used my stim pistol, pointed out important targets, and stayed close to them. My squad was a well-oiled killing machine, but I didn't take part in it. Or did I?
Southwest.
I didn't shoot a single bullet at my enemies. But I always made sure my team had additional support from my EMS mortar and shield generator relay.
Calling down.
The fighting was intense,
Close.
and we took a little break, restocked, and tested the damage output of the SG-20 Halt, which turned out to do a lot of damage with the stun ammunition. This was the moment we also realized that stims heal much faster than the stim pistol. I had to make sure to let the HellDads science team know that insight. We overdid our 2.4 seconds a little,
Heavy.
but then moved on.
I'll take it.
It's easy to get lost in the mist of battle, especially when I dropped the orbital smoke strike. But the planet was also not friendly. The vegetation easily puffed and left behind thick clouds of smoke. One of the most challenging situations was a devastator directly engaging with me. I've never felt so much tension, moving backward, trusting in my team and the primitive routines of our enemies. I kept on distracting him. But it took some time until my squad was ready to take him out.
Thank you.
It was only the starting point.
Heavy. Northwest.
The battle raged on, and heavy storms with fire tornadoes swept in. At this point, I wasn't sure if the fire tornadoes would penetrate our shields. But there was no time to figure this out. We moved towards our mission goal,
Heavy. Southwest.
the launch of an ICBM.
50 meters.
But before we got there, we had to enable the fuel pumps, and a large bot base blocked our way. I've got the hang of calling out targets, which should be taken out by priority.
Northwest.
My squad understood that I would do no harm to the bots, so they started relying on my ability to distract and support. Shortly after, we reached the pump station, and the stationary bots were also unsure if they should consider me a threat. You can't imagine my surprise when they didn't attack me. Did I trigger an unknown subroutine?
Bots.
Maybe, but we had more important tasks at hand. One of our squad mates got stuck.
Tagging map. Northeast, close.
The first rescue attempt using a 500 kilograms didn't work out. The blast nearly ripped the whole team apart, but he was still alive, protected in his ditch. We promised no HellDad would be left behind. That's how we roll. So,
Marking location.
I tried to destroy the building with a stratagem pod,
Calling
but it
down
only bounced around.
fortifications.
Calling down a support weapon.
Finally, he took his own life,
Requesting advance.
and me with him. That was the last thought rushing through the final moment of my life. My consciousness prevailed once more, like the democracy in our hearts. After activating the fuel pumps, I discovered another supportive task of my pacifist build.
Rare sample acquired.
I started carrying spare weapons for my squad, which I could quickly drop if they need them. Now,
Calling down a
packed with
sentry.
all the gear and experience from past mistakes,
Requesting
we engaged the
fortifications.
final large bot base.
Bots.
Routinely,
Tagging
I
location.
called down the EMS mortar and shield generator relay.
Bot fabricator. West.
The team engaged the heavies and small units.
North.
My orbital smoke strike added additional cover.
Orbital inbound.
Those bots didn't even see the orbital laser from my squad coming. It was time to make the final push,
Deploying sentry.
so we approached the rocket launch site.
Calling down fortifications. Bots. Southeast. Sentry.
As a pacifist, it was my honor to take care of the terminal stages. I realized too late what I had done. I've launched the worst weapons of all. I've failed myself. I've failed my squad. I've failed Super Earth. So, I shot my stim pistol into the sky, like a cry out for those I've failed.
50 meters.
There was no time for mourning. The squad still had to extract.
T-minus 1 minute.
The weather turned bad. Like my soul.
Calling down a sentry. Ending in an eagle.
Fire tornadoes raged again, like my shame. Even though I documented how these tornadoes penetrate our shield, no action could compensate what I'd done. Not even science.
Tagging location. Calling
At
down
least, I've been able to scare my team with a smoke strike, jumping into the Pelican.
Countdown initiated. Stand by for takeoff. Extraction complete.
The mission was a full success. We achieved all our goals, but it still felt wrong to me. Will I ever find my peace? Would it still be viable to complete the operation, even though I probably killed millions with the ICBM? If I want to become a true pacifist, I need to do better than that. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see the rest of the operation. Check out the HellDads on Discord and Reddit. You can find the links in the channel description or on helldads.org. Patres Inferni.